My name is Jason. I'm a senior financial analyst here at Google. I'm 27 years old, and I want to thank you for taking part of this today. My question is around educational spending. We have a lot of issues with infrastructure at inner city school level, and my question is, rather than proposing to raise taxes and find more ways to fund the educational system, how do you propose allocating funding toward the inner city schools in the country, in the U.S., and how do you propose to do that better? And secondly, how do you propose to involve corporations and the corporate community in helping solve America's educational problems?
Well, Jason, thank you. Those are great questions. And obviously, our education system is key to our competitiveness, as all of you at Google know so well. I want to do several things. It's hard to talk about it in 90 seconds, so I hope I'll get a little more time because this is so important to everybody. Clearly, I think the federal government has a role to play in trying to create better educational opportunities, but it's important to recognize that of all the money we spend on public education, K through 12 in America, only 10% comes from the federal government. Most of it comes from local and state governments. So this has to be a partnership. I'd like to see the federal government help support states with a universal pre-kindergarten program. The research is absolutely conclusive that if we provide quality preschool experiences for kids from disadvantaged backgrounds, they will enter those schools better able to learn, better prepared. We also have to do more to create an environment in which good learning can take place. And I have been saying for several months that if you go into a classroom today, other than maybe having a computer in the classroom, it's going to look very much like the classroom I walked into 50 years ago. I don't think that any other part of our society looks the same. I mean, look at Google. I mean, it's a totally different way of doing business, and it's part of the information revolution. Yet our schools haven't really moved into the 21st century. So we need young people like yourself, we need corporations like Google and others to be engaged in reimagining American education, focusing on the kids who need it the most. You know, I live in a wonderful suburb of New York, and they have great schools because the parents pay very high property taxes. We have a lot of other ancillary help for the schools. But then I go into schools in rural areas and underserved urban areas. They barely have a book in the library. They have a computer lab that doesn't have anywhere near enough in terms of access for the kids who are in the school. It's just a totally unequal system, and I think the federal government can do more to try to help equalize it. Senator Harkin and I have a bill to create a revolving fund to modernize and build facilities in places where they just don't have the resources themselves. I'd like to see the federal government help provide support for quality teachers in underserved rural and urban schools. You know, kind of like what we did during the 90s with 100,000 police on the street that helped to drive the crime rate down, which now unfortunately is creeping back up because a lot of what we did has been undone by the Bush administration. I'd like to see us have 100,000 quality teachers in the classrooms with federal support. The federal government made a vow some years ago that it would pay a great proportion of the cost of special education. It never has. I think we should do that. And again, we've got to do everything possible to create opportunities that will give individual children the chance to live up to their God-given potential. So any corporation that is willing to make that investment would be a great addition to what we're trying to do through the government as well.